So what we're covering today is formatting. And so this controls the look and feel of your Home Inspector Pro reports. Um, within Home Inspector Pro, it is a template-based system, and the formatting for your reports is tied to a template. So you can have various templates that would have different look and feel, formatting, all of that type of stuff. And so once you set that up, it's a set once, and then you won't have to adjust it going forward. Those settings carry forward for all inspections that are based on your template. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If anybody has any questions, feel free to just speak up and we can answer those as they come up. So, within Home Inspector Pro, start off from the client info screen, and I'm going to go ahead and open up our default template, which has the basic formatting and is the most common one people will use. So there are different aspects of the formatting that you're able to control. If we go into a given section, say outside house and grounds, this as an example, you have the upper portion, which is the selection panel, has information about what you're inspecting, so locations, capacities, materials, and stuff like that. The lower portion is a damage panel. And this is where you're noting the condition of what you're inspecting. So at the very basic level, if you highlight something and click on black, this includes it in the body of the report. Highlight something and click it on the right to red, this includes it in the summary. Now, by default, in the template, the color of items that are in the black section are going to be black, and the comments that are in the red are going to be red. And at any point, we can see what this is going to look like by clicking on Generate Report. And we'll come back to this in a second. Let me give it a name, Test. And this will generate the report, and we can see what it looks like in the PDF. You can always then make changes to the content, generate it again, see what your changes look like. So if we go to grounds, for example, this is the item that was marked as black. This is the item that was marked as red. And then in the summary, it shows as red. So the same thing is true for the selection panel items. You highlight it, it's going to be included. And this has its own color setting to it. Now you can change these values by going to report settings and formatting. And this allows you to control all the basic formatting of the report, specifically the fonts and colors and everything. We're going to skip over the first few items here. And the first one we're going to take a look at is the normal damage font. So the normal damage font is when you mark something as black. You'll see the example text here is black. The serious damage font is when you have something marked as red. And so often people will want to change the summary items from red to something a little bit less alarming, so maybe like a dark blue. That way there's a contrast between the body and summary comments, but it's less alarming. For the comments that are in your selection panels, there's the selection materials font, and this is black by default. And there's also the selection materials font number 2. And that's used if there are 2 selection panels per tab. For example, under utilities and electrical, where you have one selection panel, second selection panel, and then a damage panel at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and just mark something as black and red, generate the report again, and just generate it again. And once it generates, you'll see, for example, electrical. We have the first selection panel, the second selection panel, the item marked as black, the item marked as red, but the font of that is now blue. And if we go to the summary, you have each of those items and they're now blue. And so what you'll see is that once you set the setting in the formatting setting area, it applies to all the comments within your template. One of the things to pay attention to is you have under, say, electrical, there's this introduction text where it has like location and observations. And especially in this situation where there's 2 selection panels, that may be confusing. Where that comes from is if you go to a given section, so service panel, And if you have clicked on edit comments in the toolbar, this allows you to see the text on the left-hand side. There's the description text. And this is the label that appears to the left of your comments there. So I can put in, so give it more description. Main panel location. I'm gonna go ahead and pick and I can generate it again. And so that gives it more description. So it's the main panel location is here, sub panel location, and that gives it more detail. Now you'll notice there are multiple comments here where it has the two items for the location, and it has them separated by a bullet, as well as for the observations, there's a bullet and they're on a new line. You're able to set that value with the item separator. So in this case, for the selection panels, we have it set to bullet, which if there's multiple items, it's going to do comment, bullet, comment, and they're all going to be on the same line. If we were to set that to new line in bullet, it's going to have bullet, bulleted item, and another line, bulleted, and a bullet and another item. So it'll break them down on separate lines. You're also able to change them to like comment or period. Or if you don't want to have any actual identifier, you could just do new line, and then just each comment will be on its own line. The same thing is true for your damage panels. This one is by default set to new line and bullet. You could also do, there's new line and blank line, which does each comment and puts a blank line between each comment. And there is an option for doing numbering. So if you want to have all of the items within a subsection numbered, you could have it so like in the panel, there'd be item 1, and then it has the text, item 2, item 3, and have them broken out by numbering, or have them broken out with numbers on each line. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in controlling how those are going to appear. One last thing with the description text, if you go to report settings and formatting, you'll see there's items here for selection description font and selection description number 2 font. So since if there's 2 selection panels, as well as the damage description font, this allows you to control the font of the labels that are there. So what often people will do is they'll come in here and bold those items. And what that'll do is when we go ahead and generate the report again, and I need to make sure to close my report before I generate it again. You can't overwrite a file that's in use. So generate it again. And so now you see is it has the label for it in bold, so it helps call that out a little bit better for visibility of the labels of those items. Okay. So when you're in a given section, you have your existing comments, and you may want to, you can add at a very basic comment, so no power at, so you can put in a very basic comment and hit OK. Let's see. If you'd like, I can send you a link to the video after the fact. That way you can go through those steps individually. So we can hit OK and add that comment. And when you add a comment to the end, to the panel, it's going to add it to the very end of the section. So we can highlight that and move it up. And those buttons are available because we clicked on edit comments in the toolbar. So at a very basic, just having this comment, it's going to be here, and it'll follow the text, the settings of whatever is set for the normal damage font or serious damage font, whether we select on black or red. So in addition to the actual text of the comment, you can also format the individual items. So say, for example, you could highlight the text and bold individual aspects of it. You can italicize and underline. You can also change the color of individual items by clicking where this black square is. And this allows you to change the color of that text. And the color that you specify here overrides whatever the color is for the black or red section. So if you have your summary items set to blue, and you change one of the words to orange, it's going to be, that individual word is going to be orange, while the rest of the text is going to be blue or whatever you have set for the serious damage font. Highlight that, and for example, click on red, and you'll see the text here is going to be showing as orange. One thing to point out is you'll notice the text here is still showing as red. If I were to save my template and then open it up again, the next time you open it, the color of the text here will follow whatever the setting is in the format. And so the text will be blue the next time we launch that, open up that template. In addition to changing the color and the font of it, you also have the option of inserting links. And we've always had the ability to, say, for example, go to a given page and copy the link that's at the top, and you could paste that into a comment or narrative, and it would have the text actually showing there. And that would be clickable when you actually generate the report. It'd be clickable. The downside to that is it's not as clean looking as having an actual link in there. So what you can do is, instead of having the actual link displayed with the actual full URL, you could enter a text such as click here for more information. So you could highlight that text of click here for more information and click on the link button. And this allows you to then paste a link into this field. And once you hit OK, that text is actually going to be underlined like a normal hyperlink, and it will be a clickable piece of text. That way it looks more professional. People are more attuned to recognize that the underlined bluish text is going to be a clickable link. And so that more people are going to recognize to click on that information. And it's helpful to have links in your reports, one, because you can link to exterior sources, or you could link to sources that are on your website where you have started building articles that cover individual topics and you give details on it. And that gives your customers the ability to have access to additional information that you're then able to continue adding to. So you're giving benefit to the customers by additional information. The other benefit is having people link to content that's relevant to home inspections that's on your website. That traffic will help drive up the ranking of your site, because by having people link to relevant content to the services you offer, that naturally builds up search engine ranking, as it designates to search engines that your site is an authority on this topic. One of the other features that you have in here is you can also, for any given comment, there's an option here to link a photo. And linking a photo to the content allows you to actually, for example, electrical and fixtures. I'm just picking one at random. You'll see it has this image is now shown at the bottom. And what this actually does is, you'll see there's this little picture icon. When this comment is used, shrink that there. When I actually use this comment, it automatically inserts that diagram into the report as part of the inspection. Just by the fact that I use that comment that has the linked image, it automatically inserts that image in there. And when I went to go add in that linked photo, you'll notice that there are a number of folders with different images here. This actually comes from the InterNACHI graphics library. which if you go on our website, which is homeinspectorpro.com, you need to log in, and I'm not logged into the website. If you click on your name and go down to the download section and scroll down a little bit, there is the, and I have a couple extra items listed here. There's the Home Inspector Pro graphics library for Mac and for Windows. And what this actually is the InterNACHI graphics library, which has been licensed by Home Inspector Pro for all Home Inspector Pro users, even if you're not an InterNACHI member. And this is a very simple installer. As you download it and run it, and it finds your Home Inspector Pro installation automatically and installs that graphics library into the photo library of Home Inspector Pro. So when you go to link a photo, it by default is going to choose from, it's going to go to the photo library folder in your Home Inspector Pro folder. And this puts all these folders with the diagrams in there for you to use in your reports. Now, inspectors will often find other images and diagrams that they want to use for their reports. You might find them on message boards or Facebook groups or wherever. And so you can save those to your computer, such as like they go to your downloads folder. And you could pick that image, and it's going to link that. And what that actually does is this copies that image from your downloads folder into the photo library folder. And that way, if you had saved it from some other from some exterior location, once you add it in through the link photos, link photos, it makes it so it's available for all inspections going forward. So you don't have to worry about that, remembering where you saved that file. And so it makes it usable for all your reports going forward without having to keep track of it outside of the Home Inspector Pro program. Okay, so as I mentioned, at any point, you can generate your report and take a look at what it's going to look like. And you can do that by going to Generate Report. And this opens up what's called the section colors and print order. And so this has all of your sections of your report. And one of the things to pay attention to is there is the print column. And the print column designates whether a section is going to be included in your report based on whether it's checked to be printed. And so on the right-hand side, you can click on Select All. That's going to include all of those sections. But there may be sections where you have not entered content in. So for example, pool. This house doesn't have a pool. If I check the box for pool, it's going to have an empty section titled pool. One thing you want to get in the habit of doing is when you go to generate your report, there's an option here for select sections with comments, ratings, or photos. And what this will do is when you click on it, it will unselect any sections to print where you've done nothing. And it will select any sections where you have entered comments, ratings, or photos. So far I've entered information into the electrical, foundation, and ground section. And so it will automatically have those sections set to be included. And so it's good to get in the habit of clicking in that box. And that way it's only including the sections you actually want to have appear. Just wait for that to generate real quick. And so like if I go to electrical, it has the comments there. And then it has the link diagram that I specified. Also notice that it has the word power is a different color. Oh, and I didn't actually put the link with the comment with the link in it, but it would have the clickable link in there. Okay. Now that same print dialog is available under report settings and section colors and print order. It's the same window that is called when you click on the generate report. Some of the other aspects to take a look at here is you have the section names, and this is a list of all the sections. The order that they're here is the order that they're going to be in the report. So if you want to change the order that your sections are going to appear in your report, you can use the move up and move down buttons to change the order of the report. Now, the order of the items that are listed here is specific to the order of the report. When you go to edit template in the toolbar, this is changing the order for how you're going to collect the information. So that's something to keep in mind, is that you likely are going to collect the information in a different order than you're going to have it presented to the customers. And so under report settings and section colors and print order is where you would change that setting. Now, for each of those items or each of the sections of your report, there's different settings for the border, so the color that goes around the page, as well as the header background, which, so let's actually take a look at generate the report so we can have that as an example. So when we look at a given section, say electrical, let's zoom out a little bit. So we have the heading that goes across the top, the border, and then there's settings for the footer. And if you go to report settings and section colors and print order, that's what these settings are. So we have, say, for example, electrical. We have the border that goes around the page, the background of the header, so where it has the company name and would have the customer address if I have the address entered in, as well as the footer background, which is the area at the bottom, and I don't have a background there, so it's just transparent. For each of these, you can also set the font, so the font of the actual text that's in there. So for example, for electrical, if I click there, I have the text currently set to white, and so you can't really see, the contrast isn't very good there, but I have the text set to white, and so that's why it shows the company name as white at the top. As well as you're able to specify for the footer text, a footer font, the font that appears at the bottom. And so it allows you to control those items. Also, for each of those individual items, you're able to specify the section font. So this is the text for the label that appears at the top. And when you actually view the table of contents of your report, each of the items for the table of contents can also be defined here as well. And so if we click on the table of contents background, this controls how it creates the entry that's there by the background color, which right now is set to black, and then the shading color, which is set to blue. So it does the background color fading to blue. And so if you want those to be the same color all the way across, you can set the shading color to also be black, and then it's just a solid entry going across, or set them to be the same color, whatever color that is. You're also able to set the table of contents font, which controls how the title or whatever the section name is and the page number are going to be, what color and font they're going to be used, which is important if you are using the gradient. You may have a gradient that's dark to very light, so you'd want to have those different colors so that they have enough contrast that they're readable. Now, going through and setting these values individually would take quite a while. So what you can do to set those en masse is you can go to report settings and formatting. And there's the header background color, the footer background color, the border color, the header font. Those first 5 items allow you to set the defaults that are going to show there. So for the header font, how you want it to appear, and the color, the footer font, all of those values. You can also, if you go further down, there is the section title font, which allows you to set what the font is going to be for the individual section. So say I want that 16, but bolded. And the table of contents settings. So, and this has the title font and the page number font along with the background color. So maybe if I want to go from a purple shading to a ugly yellow, and that's just horrid. So I can go through and set all those values. If I were to generate my report again, so make sure to close my report and generate the report again. So I put that in there. Notice it didn't do anything. The important thing to take a look at is once you set those values in the formatting, that sets a default for the system. When you go to generate the report, there's a button on the right-hand side that's marked inherit from formatting. And what that does is that sets all of the sections to match the values that you specified in the formatting. Because you do have the ability that you have every section have a different color, or every different type of system a different color. We've had guys who they have like all their interior stuff is going to be blue, all their exterior stuff is going to be green, all their systems are going to be orange, and they'll group them by color. This is why that there's separate values for each item, is because it gives you the ability to have the customization there. But often you want to have things completely consistent. That's where doing the inherit from formatting sets them all to the same value. So if I generate the report again, it will now have those settings in place. Now, in general, with colors in Home Inspector Pro, especially for labeling settings, and this is just in general for any reports, we had done studies a while ago. So there's the awful colors listed there. And you'll notice that if I go to an individual section, the text labels at the top are a bit smaller. And so that way they're a bit more visible and not huge. If you do decide to have multiple colors in your reports, we did a study with in conjunction with a number of inspection companies. And once you get beyond about 4 or 5, and really beyond 5 colors, customers stop paying attention. The meanings of those are lost because people just, especially when they're reading a long report, they're going to start losing in their head what each of those colors mean. So we usually recommend don't go beyond about 3 to 5 colors if you are doing multiple colors in your report, because the meaning of them gets diluted, and so people aren't going to really, it doesn't have a beneficial effect. So in addition to the formatting of those sections, you'll notice we have the option for changing the black and red. So in this case, I have it set to black and then blue. So that sets those values, but there may be situations where something may urgently actually need to be red in the summary, because while something of just cracked concrete is not going to be urgent, you may have like some active arcing of electrical. That's something that's going to kill somebody. So what you can do is there is the ability to have overriding colors that are built into the program or into your template. And so you can go to report settings and advanced colors and summaries. And the advanced colors basically act as an overriding color in addition to the defined colors for the black and red. And so you can enable advanced colors and add those in. And so when you go to add, say, for example, we have one that we want just a dark red. And it's going to ask you to title that. So title maybe urgent issues. And sometimes people put in different items for various reasons. So maybe like do like a dark green for environmental. And maybe do like a dark orange for fire hazards. That's a good orange. Now, one thing I haven't pointed out, but this is true throughout the system, if you have a specific color scheme or design scheme that you're going through, on any of the color windows, we default to using the swatches where you're picking from fixed colors. You can always go to either like the HSV or more commonly the RGB tab, and this allows you to very granularly change the color values of whatever's going to appear. You can also use the color code, which if you're working with a designer or either a web designer or a print designer, they may have a 6-digit code that gives the exact color code, and you can enter those in. So if you want to get very granular about the colors that are used, you can use the color code or the other tabs to specify those colors. Most times people just use the swatches because that's the easier option to do. I'm not actually adding something in there. So I have my defined colors there. So where this comes into play is if you have items where it is a serious issue, you'll notice when you're defining your comments, you now have an additional dropdown that allows you to specify an overriding color. So I'm going to mark this one as orange because it is a fire hazard. And you'll notice after I hit OK, that comment is now orange. And even if I highlight it and mark it as red to go in the summary, it's going to show up as orange there because this is overriding whatever we've set as the default color. The same is true now if we pick any comments and mark it, say, for example, black. If we double click it, there's also a drop down that's available here. And so this is helpful. If you define it on the left-hand side in your library of comments, this is where you would define it going forward for every time that comment is used. If you make that change on the right-hand side, this only applies to the inspection that you're working on. So it may be that you have a comment where normally it's not going to be urgent that you would use this example, but you may modify that comment to indicate something that is urgent. And so you can apply that color if we were going to use the fire as an example, or if you just wanted to define an overriding color for this specific issue versus having it apply every time. And so when we go to generate the reports, let's see what that looks like. And so if we go back to electrical, so we have, oh, that's actually the report summary, which highlights that as well. So under the electrical section, we have both the comments that are blue for the, that are just normally in the black. And then we have the overriding color for the advanced colors. And if we go to the actual electrical section, we have the blue comments, and then we have the overriding red comments, or overriding orange comments for the advanced colors. So that allows you to define those colors. And all of those settings work on the mobile version as well. So you have it able to be applied to both the desktop and the mobile versions of the reports. One of the other abilities you have under report settings and section advanced colors and summaries is you have the option to enable separate summaries by category. And that's where these title settings that we put in there for urgent issues, environmental fire hazard, come into play. And there is also an option here for a default summary title. If you don't have anything defined, it's just not going to have a unique title. So you could maybe put general items. So for whatever is the, for anything that doesn't fall within those other categories, there's just going to be a base summary. And so you'll see is when we go to generate the report now, there's still one report summary on the left-hand side, but when we actually go to the report summary, there's now a section for general items, which just has all the items that we just marked as red and didn't have a defined color. But there's now a separate summary that is for all the fire hazards that we defined as part of the inspection. And so this gives us the flexibility to have multiple summaries broken out by those individual topics. Now, people will use those just like what we've done here is where we're just categorizing them differently. But other people also use the advanced summaries if they want to do them by trade. So, for example, they'll have an advanced color and summary item where they have one for electrical, one for HVAC, one for plumbing, one for general, interior defects, one for exterior. And you could have any number of categories. And you could have those all be the same color. So they're not broken out by color, but they are broken out by name. So that you can have individual topics that are broken out in your template. And so that gives you the ability to have that flexibility for how to categorize the information that comes in. Now, within the program, you'll notice, but at least in the default template, and if you're located in Texas, these are also commonly used. We have these checkboxes on the left-hand side, and these are for ratings. And ratings are a way to give a rating or an overall condition for the section you're looking at. One thing to keep in mind is that these ratings are not tied to a given comment. They're saying, oh, in this case, overall for the electrical panel, what is the rating or condition that I give it? And you'll notice that this text is cut off You can see what that says if you go to report settings and ratings. And so for acceptable, monitor, safety issue, and so on. And the reason that those are cut off is because instead of using the text of the icons on the report, we're actually using these icons that show on the right hand of the report. And so I selected one here. And so if I generate my report again, it's going to have the rating showing on the report. And anywhere we're in Home Inspector Pro where we're using icons, those are ones we've included in the system. There is also, if you go to flaticon.com, I'll go ahead and put this in the chat. If you go to flaticon.com, it's a site that has, well, now 6.6 million icons. That number, when I started doing these trainings about 3 months ago, it was at 4.5 million. So they're constantly increasing the number of icons there. They have both free and paid icons. We have a royalty-free license to the icon library. So if there are icons that you would like to use in your, you can go through, search for icons for given topics or whatever it is, find the icon, and then so recent packs, find the icon, and then send us the URL that's shown at the top. So say, for example, I pick this one. Send us the URL at the top, and we'll get it for you so you can use it in your reports at no cost. You could do that for an individual icon, or you can do it for an entire pack, but we don't charge for that. That's why we have that license. So within the report now, though, it shows this icon to the left of this subsection. And like I said, this is talking about overall what this condition is. And usually people will have an introduction letter at the beginning of the report that defines what these icons are. And you'll actually see after the cover page, we by default include an introduction with the report that defines what each of those icons mean. And we'll take a look at that here in a second. If you don't use the icons, and so we can go to report settings and ratings. If we uncheck the item for use rating icons instead of rating names, if we turn that off, it's then going to show 5 checkbox areas, and it'll have those rating names across the top. If you are using the rating names instead of the rating icons, we usually recommend changing your rating names to be an abbreviation, and usually not beyond 5 or 6 characters, because it has to fit the text over the checkboxes. And if it's longer than that, it may wrap, like if we were to generate the report now, it's going to wrap those words to fit over the columns. And so it doesn't look great. So you would want to rename these. You can literally just change the text. So ACC, for example, for acceptable, M for monitor. You could change them to whatever you'd want to fit in that section. So we can take a look at that, what that looks like. Good enough. So if we generate this again. And so, yeah, so we usually recommend, and that way it also fits more cleanly on the screen when you actually go to select items that they're going to appear on the report. So if we go to electrical, so you see it has the 5 checkboxes, and then it has the heading text. But if they're longer, it then wraps, and it's not going to be as clean looking here. So it's recommended to limit those down to up to 5 or 6 characters, depending on the width, so that they all appear on one row and it shows more cleanly there. If you want to just turn the ratings off, under report settings and ratings, you can uncheck the box for include ratings and reports, and then that gap area on the left-hand side where the ratings box would appear, that indentation is going to go away, so that your comments will be the full width of the page. There are other locations where we use the icons. One of the most noticeable otherwise is under section colors and print order. There is the section icons. And this allows you to have icons that are used as the labels at the beginning of your section. So this can give you sort of a section introduction icon. And say open up the report I just was looking at. And so if we go to tests, so if we go to the electrical section, for example, it has that the plug looking icon. Grounds is going to show a tree looking icon. And these are section icons that are included with the program. If you were to go select a different icon to use, there are a couple section header set. There's two header sets that you can use within the program. And again, you can go to flaticon.com and find a set that you would prefer for your sections. And I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that. And on any of the screens where there are icons, it gives you the dimensions that are required at the top of the screen. So for section icons, they need to be a maximum of 200 pixels high and wide so that it fits in that section. Ratings icons, I believe, are 64 pixels high and wide, so or squares. Now, one of the other aspects you may have noticed in the report we looked at, go back to that, is when this report is opened, you'll notice that it has these definitions on the right-hand side. And when we go to electrical, there's the word double tap is highlighted. If I hover my mouse over it, it pops up a definition of what that means. And that's not by accident. What you're able to do within the Home Inspector Pro program is under report settings and glossary. This is where you can build up a glossary of terms that are commonly asked by your customers or that would be helpful to illustrate for your customers to help answer questions as you go. And we include a library of comments here. These are just a example base library, but you could add in any number of terms. So when you click on add, it has the term, and this would be whatever word you want to have defined, and then the definition that's going to appear. And the idea behind this is a setup once and just use in the future. And you don't actually, once you create the definition in the glossary, you don't actually have to actively do anything other than use the terms. For example, if I were to go to inside house and bathroom and go to the electrical tab, and if I mark this as black, where it has the word GFCI, and generate the report, and I need to make sure to select sections, comments, ratings, or photos. So I pick up the bathroom section. Generate again. Just by the fact that I used the word GFCI in one of my comments, and it was in one of my predefined comments, just by the fact that I used GFCI, I now have the term GFCI highlighted in my report, and if I hover my mouse over it, it's going to give the definition. And you'll notice that on the left-hand side, we have the glossary as one of the bookmarks, and it only includes the terms that I actually used. So you can have a pretty substantial glossary of terms that you want to have definitions in there. So you could have 30, 40, 50 more definitions in there, but only if you actually use the term is it going to appear in the glossary. And so it's only extending the glossary based on the terms that you actually use within your report. So you're not going to make your report extremely long just by the fact that you're actually doing that. So that can be very helpful. For the highlighting or the how they appear in the glossary, you can go to report settings and glossary. And under print settings, it allows you to, I want to enable the glossary. Whether you want to have the glossary at the end of the report, whether you want to have it used on every occurrence or just the one time, and you're going to want to balance that based on the terms that you have in your library. If you were to use define house for some reason in your report, you're probably going to have the term house in there a ton of times, and so having on each occurrence would be a lot of stuff highlighted. Then how you want to have it show, whether it's just an underline of the use of the report, or you can change it so the word is highlighted as a color, or you can have it so it doesn't have any highlight and you just mouse over it and things are going to appear. So you have the ability to customize how it's going to appear in your report. And you can always modify these by double clicking on them, and it allows you to change the text. Okay. One of the other things in the report is how your report actually looks. So we have the cover page that's shown here. And so if I zoom out, there is a cover page that defines how the cover of the report is going to look. And if I were to go into under report settings and cover page designer, this is where you're able to customize how the cover of your reports are going to look. And so what this allows you to do is you have different chunks of content or aspects that appear on the report. And you'll see if we, in the center, there's the layering, which this has the different pieces that make up the page. And as an analog of what this, how this works is if you have ever done any type of collage or graphic design in the past, where you do it in the physical world, when you're laying out stuff on the pages, you have any number of aspects and you do them in layers. And so as a background, you have an image that appears in the back, and then you may have different pieces of text that you appear on the top. And so it's the idea is that things that are further up in the list of the layers or in the pile of the layers, the more visible it's going to be. And so the way that this works is this actual layout with the green and the blue and all that type of stuff is actually just an image that appears on this view and covers the entire page. Then underneath that, there is a transparent hole where the cover photo is behind that image and it's showing through that transparent hole. And then all the content that is on the page is like a text item, a company logo, and text that appears on this page. And so you're able to, and we have two different layouts that ship with the program, and you could import those into your template by clicking on import layout from file. The one that's shown here is cover design 1 variation, and then there's any number of different combinations of colors. So for example, purple and pink. There is also a separate layout if you go to cover page 2, cover design 2, and teal. And this has more of a swoosh type look, for lack of a better term. But the same idea is that the main thing that's changed is the image that appears over the layout, and then there's a transparent area where the cover photo appears. We do have a design service where we can customize the content of I build the cover page design for you. We have 20 something layouts available to choose from. If you go to our website, so under Home Inspector Pro, you'll see custom cover is an option here. And this is a design service where we have a base library of about 20 something designs, and then we're able to customize it to your purposes based on guidance from you. Otherwise, if you work with a graphics designer for your marketing materials or your website, designing a cover page design is the bread and butter of anybody who's done graphic design, because it's literally a single 8.5 by 11 image. And we can give them the specifications of what they need to add that in, but they're basically just creating a graphic image that's going to appear here. On the left-hand side, you have the ability to turn on or turn off different items that are going to appear on the page, and then drag them around. So that's the report title, so that we can drag them around of how we want them to appear on the report. And you can also add arbitrary text. So if you click on add/edit text, you're able to use variables to populate different aspects of from the inspector, the client, and the agent. You can have that information automatically populated, and you'll see all those items on the page with the $ sign at the beginning of them. Any of those fields are going to be filled in with data from the system based on the variable that's entered in. You can also add in other images. So if I click on add image, and I don't know if I actually have it now to the icon library. So you could add in any number of images, and you're then able to place it in there. Commonly what people will use those for is to put in logos of their certifications from like InterNACHI or ASHI or any third-party source, so they have their logos that are shown there. If you want to see what the report looks like without any of this, you can uncheck the box for enable custom cover layouts on reports. If you do have that checked, though, it's going to display the layout on the page. And one of the things that's helpful when you're going to build these layouts is you can, at any point, export a layout to a file for future use. This basically saves the layout as you have it currently set up. Example. And so you could go through and completely change the report, move stuff around, all of that, and then realize, well, I made a mess of that. Import the layout from file, and you could revert it back to how you had it set up. So because especially the cover page design, and along with a lot of graphic design, it is just a lot of trial and error to make sure that it is exactly how you want it. One of the other things you can do as part of your layouts is what's called stationery. And under the report settings and stationery, this allows you to define stationery that's used on your report. And just like back when people printed off actual physical reports, the stationery allows you to generate your reports as if you were printing it onto a designed printed stationery. And that's done at just like with the cover page design. It's an 8.5 by 11 single page design, but instead of being a graphic image, it's usually it is a PDF. And so we can, if you have a designer that you work with, we can work with them. Otherwise, and just as an example, let's see. We had a one for stationery. Oh, here we go. So as an example, here's a stationery. You'll notice it gives the option of doing cover page stationery or all other pages stationery. All other pages is just like it describes. It's going to appear behind all other pages except the cover page. The cover page stationery just appears behind the cover page. If you're using a cover page design under the report settings and cover page designer, usually we recommend you do one or the other, is either do the cover page stationery or do the cover page designer. Otherwise, you have to deal with the use of two different competing layouts, and it can sometimes be confusing. But for the all other pages, this allows us to define a stationery that your report is going to print over the top of. And actually, I probably should have put in a cover page photo so it actually shows a photo. But so there it has the cover page design. And if I had put in a cover photo, it would have appeared in this section. There's the icon I put in there. And then for all the other pages, it has my stationery. And one of the most common ones that people will do is they'll have just the layout has a watermark of their company logo behind the page, or you can have it be a pattern. But then at the top, they have their company name and their logo appear at the top. And often what people will do for the header color and the border color is under report settings and formatting. You can go, for example, header background color. It allows you to set this to be a transparent background. So you do the same thing for the sections. Do that. So header background, footer background, and the border, we're going to set those all to be transparent. Let's close this. Generate. And because I changed those values, I need to remember to hit inherit from formatting. You can see it blanked those out. But when I go to generate the report, instead of having to specify a color for those items that would be in the way of my stationery, I set them as transparent, so they're not going to be visible on the page. And now if I go to, for example, the table of contents, and I'm going to zoom out so you can see the layout. It has the company name, and then the watermark appears behind every page. And so it just gives a more professional look to the layout. So it gives you more flexibility and a professional look to your reports. Now, an example of this actually, one of our customers who he designed actually his own. This is Echelon Inspections in California. Is a very good looking, professional looking website. But on his sample inspection reports, he actually did his own cover page design and stationery. And so using the transparency of the items and then different variables and everything, he has all of this. So the cover photo just comes from the photo that the inspectors take when they actually are doing the inspection. It automatically inserts the cover photo, but then all the details like the order ID, which comes from ISN, the street address, the client's names, the details of the building, all of this information is pulled in automatically. The other thing is for the realtor, you have the ability to have the name of the realtor and their company name or agency name, as well as the photo of the realtor automatically inserted in. You'll see that when you go to report settings and cover page designer, one of the options here is agent photo. And so if you're entering in the photo as part of your address book, and this is able to be specified in ISN or Inspector Support Network or HIP Office, that information can automatically be imported in from either of those systems. And that way it'll automatically appear on the cover of your reports. And then for his additional pages, he has a stationery that he created that allows him to have all the pages have a consistent look and feel. And the idea behind this is by branding your reports so you have a consistent cover page and stationery that matches your website, that matches your business cards, that matches your flyers, everything that you do as part of your marketing, you have a consistent brand image across all of the different properties where customers are interacting with your materials. This it just gives a very professional look and feel to everything that you as a company do. And it just, the more professional of an organization you look like, the more people are likely to, it instills trust into customers that you know what you're doing. So that's something that can be really helpful. And so he has various different aspects of those. And then for the actual inspector information, he has each of the guys, they have their own template or cover page design that they're going to be using, where they just import that into their Home Inspector Pro program. And then they have for their commercial and industrial, they have a very basic one where the entire top more than half is just the cover photo, and they just have the details of the property at the bottom. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to control the look and feel of your reports. One other thing to take a look at is you'll notice in our reports there, after the cover page, there is an introduction that gives an outline of what is covered in the report. And one of the aspects that is helpful, I mean, it's good to have an introduction in your report so it gives more information and context to your customers. We actually include with the Home Inspector Pro program, which if we minimize down so we can see the desktop, easiest way to get to your Home Inspector Pro program folder, if you're not aware, is right click on your Home Inspector Pro icon and go to Open File Location. And in the Documents Vault folder, there is a Word document titled Introduction Document. And this Documents Vault is where any inserted documents that are used by various reports are included are saved in your Home Inspector Pro folder. So what you can do is if you open up this introduction document, and open up Word, and you can modify this in WordPad or text edit on the Mac, or if you actually have Word installed on your computer, you can use that as well. And it's just taking a second to launch. But this is that same content that we had in the report. And so you can modify this. You could swap out the icons, or if you're not using icons or ratings, you can just remove those or change them to the text values. And so you can modify this to whatever purposes you need. One of the abilities with Home Inspector Pro in general is you're able to insert pretty much any PDFs into your reports to add those in. So the one limitation to this is after you make your changes to your Word document, you need to then go and either export this as a PDF, or you'll have the option to save as a PDF. So for example, if I go to save as, actually that's not the right folder. When you go to save as, PDF is an option. If you're using a program that doesn't have the option to save or export as a PDF, such as like WordPad, you can always use, you can instead go to print and use the Microsoft print to PDF, or if your PDF print driver, to print this to a PDF. And so, for example, I'm going to go ahead and just export it, but I can export that to, say, for example, my desktop. And that's going to probably open that up in here. Once you've exported that out to a PDF, you can go to Insert PDF Documents in the toolbar. And you'll see there's the existing introduction document here. I can remove that document. And then I can add a document. And this allows me to pick any PDF document. So for my example, I'm going to go to the desktop. And there's example introduction. And actually, I'm going to pick another one I did last month. And so I can open that, and you'll see that adds that in. And on the right-hand side, it's listed at the end of the report. I can drag this to appear after the cover page. And the important thing is I can check this to save to the template. And if I check save to template, that means that once I save my template, this is going to apply for every inspection going forward based on this template. I'm going to ignore the page margins, because this way, if you do not check ignore page margins, it's going to try to resize it to fit within the border that's appearing on the page. If you do have it checked to ignore the page margins, it's just going to show the full size image. And also you may want to put in a bookmark. This is where, so on the left-hand side, it would have your entry listed here. So if I give it a bookmark of introduction, it's going to then appear in the on the left-hand side under introduction. So that way it just makes it so it's more clear. But you can add in any number of PDFs in here. If you add a document, and you may have test results from like water testing or radon or mold or any other type of testing, or maybe you have to pull permits, you can add those documents in. And if you don't save to template, they're just one-offs that apply for a given for that given inspection. So for example, I'm going to go to downloads, and I'm just going to pick one. So this one. And so I want this to appear under the roof section. Also, what people will use this for is they may save it to the template, but you can do different type of maintenance documents. And Scott's reports are actually a good example of this. Is at the end of his reports, he has various maintenance items that he includes for different sections. And this is just a PDF that's inserted at the end. And he changes this quarterly for each of the seasons. So it reflects different maintenance tasks that appear for different seasons, depending on when the report was. So you can add in additional content and information into your reports and have that automatically inserted in, and just change it as needed. So. And of course, it's important after you make all your changes and customizations to your template to save your template. This makes the change permanent. And if you change the file name, this is the equivalent of doing a save as. And so this will allow you to have more flexibility in your reports. And if you change, don't overwrite an existing template. That way, if you do make a mistake, you have an option to roll back to that change without worrying about making any damage to your reports. So, okay, well, it looks like it went a little bit long. Were there any questions?
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
I have a question. I don't know if you have just a minute. It's not necessarily in the report. It's in the template that we can't seem to figure out, and I'm hoping you can.
Sure. Before we do that, is there anybody who had questions on the formatting? Okay. Well, yeah, go ahead, Julie.
Okay, so if you went back into the template and like go to electrical.
Okay. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. Mm-mm-mm-mm. So, uh,
Or what, any of
utilities,
them.
electrical.
So the service panel main amp capacity, what do we call that where it's green right up there?
So the tab at the top, and
Yeah.
then the highlighting. Yeah.
Yep. So when I finish up like the service panel section, it turns to yellow and you can't see it anymore. So I,
Okay. Yeah. The contrast for that isn't great.
yes, I
Um,
can't figure out where to do that.
so we have it on. It is not able to be changed yet. It's actually that is on the list of things to fix, and it's going to be fixed in an upcoming version.
Oh,
Because we've had a number of people who have noted that is, and it seems to be dependent on the machine. Is the contrast is getting screwed up on specific machines.
oh, okay.
So we will be fixing that. Actually, I'll check on the status of when we're going to be doing that, but I know it's high on the list.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, that's great. I thought it was something I did.
Nope.
Okay, cool. That was it. I'll
Okay.
wait for the next version.
Okay. Well, if anybody does have any questions, feel free to let us know. We'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, tomorrow's training will be on the hip office, and I forget what the topic is, but about hip office. The next desktop training will be next Tuesday, and that'll cover the actual use and of the and generating and creating reports in Home Inspector Pro on the desktop and mobile. So, if there's nothing else, have a good day.
Thank you.